jobs. D1 was admitted.
Yes, sir.
Publishing it now.
Yes, Judge, please.
Can you tell me your name is Jenni, is that right? Do you remember what my name is? No, that's okay. My name's Lisa. When we're talking today, if you don't know something and you don't remember, I would want you to guess. So just like you just told me you didn't know, that's perfectly fine, okay? When I talk, I like to kind of doodle with drawing stuff sometimes and take notes. You don't have to, but if you want to, you're absolutely welcome to, okay? And then I will write stuff down, so if you see me writing things down, it's just because I want to make sure I can remember it the right way, okay? So it's not like, oh, she said something right or something wrong or something crazy. I just don't trust my brain to remember things all the time. The other thing I wanted to let you know is this room looks obviously a little different. When you see these things right here, these are cameras and microphones, and that's just because, like we were talking about a second ago, it's important to me that I remember things the right way, the way they happened. And so when I record them, nobody can say that you said something that you didn't say, or that I said something I didn't say, and I can remember it just like it happened, okay? Does that make sense? So Jenni, can you spell your name for me? J-E-N-N-I. How old are you? 13. And did anybody tell you kind of about coming here today or what my job is? Yes. Who talked to you about that? My dad. Your dad? What's dad's name? Colby. And what did Dad explain to you about coming here or about my job?
He basically just said that you can interview with like children and stuff.
So interview can sound kind of like a scary word. I want you to know my job is really just to listen, okay? So I might ask you some questions today, but you can ask me any questions that you have, and I promise to be honest with you. Can you promise to be honest with me when we're talking today? And if I ask you a question, Jenni, and you don't think you can be honest with me, I understand that. All I ask is that you tell me that that's not a question you can be honest with me about, okay? And that's okay with me, okay? And so Dad said that my job is just to interview kids. So that can be, like I said, kind of true, but I will ask some questions, but my biggest job is just to listen, okay? So, and because we talked about how the room looks different, but also sometimes how we talk in here is different than just a normal conversation too. And so that's because I like to understand lots of details. And so I might ask you to tell me all about something from like the very beginning to the very end. You know what I mean? So tell me, like, what's one of your favorite things to do? What's something that you really enjoy?
I like listening to music.
You like listening to music. So if I were to say, like, Jenni, when you listen to music, what's the very first thing you do? And tell me all about how you listen to music.
Well, first thing I do is just pull up a song that I like, and then I just either do something while I listen to it, or just like listen to it.
And when you say that you pull up a song, how do you do that?
I just go on like YouTube or Spotify or something.
And what do you use to pull up the song?
Just search.
Okay. And what do you search on?
Go on YouTube and Spotify.
Okay. See, and so that might be, that was a silly question. I can do a better job. Do you look up Spotify and stuff? Do you look up on a phone, on a tablet, on a computer, or something? On a phone. And tell me about the phone that you use to look it up on.
I'm using an iPhone 11.
Okay. And whose phone is that?
It's
Your phone? And so I might ask questions like that. So like, it might sound like I'm asking all sorts of stuff that maybe I should know or things like that. But it's important to me that you know that I only get little bits of information before I meet with people, because it's important to me that I get the information from the actual person, okay? So sometimes I'll ask questions and people will think I'm really dumb, and I should probably already know the answer to that. But I'm not asking because I'm trying to get like in your business or because I'm going to think anything bad or different. I just like to get the information from the person who has seen or heard or experienced something. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, Jenni, tell me a little bit about like who do you live with?
my dad and my two brothers.
Okay. So you told me Dad's name is Colby. Today, is that right? And like I said, if I did something wrong today, please tell me that I got it wrong. Okay? You don't. It's not a problem. You can correct me for anything that I get wrong, okay? And so dad is Coley, and you said your two brothers. What are their names?
My older brother's name is Colt, and my younger brother's name is Colt.
Okay. And so you said your older brother is Colt. How old is Colt? 14. And then your younger brother is Colby. How old is he? Okay. And where do you guys live at?
We live we don't like live in a neighborhood. We just live like on a road.
Okay. Do you know like what the name of that road is?
Yeah,
Harrison Mill Road. And so you guys live there. Tell me some stuff about Dad. Like, tell me about that. What's he like? What are things you like about Dad? Things like that.
he's really like happy and energetic and like confident and stuff.
Okay. And are there things about Dad that like you don't like or you wish were a little bit different?
No, not really.
Not really. And then tell me about Colt. What's he like?
He's like kind of like squishy sometimes.
Okay.
Like sometimes he can be annoying and then he can be chill. And then sometimes he can just be like really closed off.
Okay. And so when he's happy and chill, what's it sound like?
Usually it's just playing games with me and like not being bored and stuff.
When you guys play games, what kind of games do you play?
Just like Minecraft and stuff.
Okay, so like video game type stuff. Okay. And when you play Minecraft, is that on like how do y'all play Minecraft?
He uses his I use my PlayStation and I use it. He uses his PC.
Okay. And so like do y'all play like sometimes when you play Minecraft like you only talk to people like you know on there, and then other times when you play Minecraft you can play with people from all over the world. How do you guys do it?
He made like a server for us. So
Okay.
Like we can like play together even though we're on different like electronics.
Okay. Well that sounds smart. Do you know how to make servers and stuff? No. How did you learn how to do that?
It's probably somewhere in my settings or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. So he made a server on his PC, did you say? And then you guys can play together through that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there other stuff that you guys can do, like with the servers and stuff like that?
We just build stuff and that's like kind of all the things like
Okay. And when you say you build stuff, tell me understand what that means.
like structures and like playing the game.
Like in Minecraft, you build stuff. Got it. Thank you for helping me understand that. And so, but then you said sometimes he can be switchy. And so sometimes he's happy and chill, and other times he's closed off. Help me understand what that looks like.
Like when he's like closed off, he's usually like always in his room and not really talking much.
Okay.
And then sometimes he can be like really like annoying and like pestering or something.
Okay. When you guys play like Minecraft together, where do you play that at?
In our house and separate rooms.
Okay, so you guys aren't even in the same room. Where do you play from?
In our room.
You play from your room, and where does he play from? His room. And then you said, but when he's like closed off, he stays in his room. Tell me what that's like.
Well, like we can still like go in and like talk to him and stuff. He just like usually like just stays in and like doesn't like talk much.
Okay. So you can still go in there. He just sounds like maybe he doesn't respond like he normally would. Does that sound right?
Well, he responds like the same, but it's just like kind of like brief.
Okay. Thank you. And Jenny, I might ask you some more about that in a little bit, but I want to learn more about the rest of your family too, okay? And so tell me about Coley. What's Coley like?
He's kind of the same as my dad. He's very like energetic and happy all the time.
Okay.
But sometimes he doesn't really understand what's really like going on around him and stuff.
Help me, can you give me some examples of that?
Like he's like young, obviously, and so like with like nature stuff that kind of happens, he just like doesn't really pay attention to it.
Okay. Are there some examples of stuff that has happened that have been like major things that he doesn't like kind of get what's going on?
Kind of like moving houses and stuff.
Okay. Tell me about moving houses.
We've been to like a lot of houses with like switching back and forth, and like now we're finally like settled into a place.
Okay. Help me understand how come you switched back, you said between a lot of houses. Can you tell me about that?
Sometimes it's like with financial struggles,
Yeah.
it's just like with community and stuff.
Okay. And so when you switch back and forth between houses, is it always the same people that live in the houses?
Sometimes my mom comes and works with us, but most of the time, like now, she does.
Okay. What is mom's name?
Marcy.
But you said right now mom doesn't live with you guys. Okay. Do you still talk to mom and see mom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where does mom live at?
She kind of like is between my house and my grandma's house.
Okay. And when you say your house, so you just want to write stuff down. I already forgot what road you said you lived on. Can you tell me that again? Harrison Mill. When you say that mom lives between your house and grandma's house,
No, she's like switches back and forth.
okay.
Like she lives in one house, then she goes to the next one.
Okay, so does she ever live in the Harrison Mill house? Okay. And when was the last time that mom lived with you?
Like, obviously, or just like,
Both. I understand both.
well, she was out here like a month or two ago.
Okay. And when she was up here like a month or two ago, does she stay like in the house with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And where does she stay in the house when she's there?
Usually it's in my bedroom.
Okay. And then when she doesn't stay there, where does she go?
She used to, like at the house or like in a different part of the house.
Like when she's not living at the house where you're at, where will she live?
She usually lives at my grandma's house.
Okay. And where's grandma's house at?
Fitzgerald.
In Fitzgerald? Okay. And so, when mom was here a month or two ago, how long did she live with you then?
Like a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. And how would you describe, like, how was it like when mom and dad and all of you guys lived together? Was it like in the house?
It was pretty like frustrating out because we're not like in a really big house. But it was pretty like a fun time, I guess.
Okay. And I know sometimes when I talk to boys and girls and they talk about like different people moving in and out of the house, that sometimes it can be good and then sometimes it makes people not get along or have troubles and stuff like that. Does that ever happen in your house? Sometimes. Can you tell me about that?
Like if my mom, she's kind of the same as Colt, but like not like that big. But she like sometimes she can be kind of like annoying and pestering.
Okay. And when you say like annoying and pestering, that can mean a lot of different things. Can you tell me about what that looks like when they're being annoying or pestering?
Usually just like being like overbearing and not like listening to what you tell them to.
Okay. Jenni, do people ever, in your house, do they ever like get in fights? And sometimes when you talk to boys and girls about fights, it can be fights with their words, it can be fights with like hands where they get hits or kicks or punches or chokes. It can be where people fight, but like they don't talk at all, like they just stay silent. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways that can look. Do people in your house ever fight?
Like most of the time it's just like arguments and stuff, but
Okay.
sometimes it can get kind of physical.
Okay. And when people have arguments, who has the arguments in your house?
So like with my dad and my brother and my mom and my brother.
Okay. And which brother? Is it different brothers or
Colt.
it's always Colt? Can you give me some examples of fights or arguments that have happened between Dad and Colt?
It's usually when he's like in one of those moods and he like tries to instigate stuff.
And who tries to instigate?
Colt.
And what are some things that Colt will do to instigate those things?
Like he like doesn't leave my dad and mom's always like in his room and like being like mean and stuff.
And can you help me understand, like, maybe some examples of times that you've seen Colt be mean? Like what he's saying or doing, things that you may have seen or heard?
He's usually just saying how like, you know, like his dad was like a shirt and stuff and how he like hates his dad and stuff.
Okay. And what kind of things does Colt mean when he says, like, his life is a struggle?
In the past he says like, well, like multiple school He had to be transferred out of the school because he was like being bullied by the school of like people. My dad tried to talk to the school, but they didn't really do anything.
Okay. Do you know what school that was?
It's the one I'm going to. It's like England.
Okay. And so, he had been bullied there, and Dad tried to talk to them, but it didn't feel like anybody did anything. Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there other examples that Colt has given of his life being a struggle?
Like sometimes when he's like really frustrated about stuff, he usually just like gets like angry and stuff, and like yells out stuff.
You said that he yelled out that he, and please correct me if I get this wrong, that he yelled out that he hates your dad or his dad.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Has he ever yelled at out any other things to them?
No, because when they like that, I usually just go in my room. I don't have to pay attention.
So he does yell other things, you just remove yourself from the situation so you don't know what those things were. Has Colt, when he's upset, has he ever threatened to like hurt Dad or do anything like that?
Sometimes.
Can you tell me about that?
Like I don't really know what I would say.
And I'm not trying to, it's important to me, Jenni, that you understand, I know I'm asking a lot of really hard questions, okay? And it's important to me that you know that I know that I'm asking questions about your family, okay? And I am not here to place judgment on you or your brothers, either one of them, or your mom or your dad, okay? I just want to understand. And so I have to ask a lot of questions so that it helps me understand. And because you live there, I can understand it better when I talk to you, okay? But I want you to know it's not because I'm trying to judge them or make me think different about you or your family or anything like that, okay? But I do know that I'm asking some really hard questions, okay? And I do have Kleenex, okay? And it is absolutely okay in this room if you can say any words that you want to say. There's no words that are not allowed or anything in here. If you get frustrated or sad or anything like that, that's okay, okay? It won't make me think different, and I promise I can handle it, okay? So I just want you to know I understand that I'm asking tough questions, okay? But you were saying that there are times that Colt has threatened Dad. Can you tell me about some of those times?
Well, it's mostly times where stuff is like not like a normal argument, like a really big one that like escalates and stuff.
Okay. So it's not one of the just kind of like yelling arguments, but it's the ones that are more serious than that. Can you tell me about some of those?
They usually like start because he's like very like fascinated with like computer stuff.
Okay.
And it's usually like always asking for something with his computer, and then like that just says like no, we have to watch something now. He usually gets like frustrated with it.
Okay. And then when he gets frustrated, what happens next?
He usually either just says that, and then he like goes to his room.
Okay. And the times that it's been where he's threatened Dad, what are some of the things that he's threatened Dad, like that he's threatened to do to Dad?
Like he just says like very stuff, not like detailed things, but like either like just hurt him or like he wants to fight him.
Okay. And so he said hurt, he said fight. Has he ever said like kill or I don't want you to be my dad or something like that?
No, if it usually gets to that, at least we're like not around.
Okay. Have there been times, well, I understand because you said that there has, but I understand there are times where it has become physical. Can you tell me about the last time that it was physical?
It started when like Colt was doing the thing with like texting, and he was like instigating him, and like he kept on like kicking like that and stuff. And he said like, "Come on, fight me." And when he did like start like punching and stuff, my dad always like tried to like hold him down and like calm down and stuff.
Okay. When, and I know time is tricky, so like I don't expect you to be like, oh, it was this specific day, but when was the last time that you saw them get would it have been, September's been a couple of days. Would it have been September, or do you think it would have been August? Like, has it been since school has been in?
No.
So it was like before school started?
Yeah, it was like before August.
Okay. And so they were kicking and stuff like that. And you said Dad would like hold them. Help me understand what like their bodies would look like when Dad would hold them.
Like, he would either like grab his arms around him and like try to like get him to stop. Or like if they were to like fall down or something, he would like try to like hang him onto the floor and try to get his leg contact and stuff.
Okay. And again, Jenny, I understand like you're in a tough spot, okay? But were there ever times that Dad would be so frustrated or so angry or whatever that he would start the stuff with Colt? No? Okay. Were there ever times that Dad had to like hit or kick or choke Colt during one of those physical things?
No, not that I see.
Okay. Were there ever times that Colt, you told me about the time that he kicked, was there ever a time that Colt would like hit or choke or use something besides his hands with Dad?
Yeah, he like usually just like punches and stuff, and then when he like finally gets him to calm down, he usually tries to like throw something at him.
Okay. What, can you describe for me what you think the worst fight that you've seen between your dad and Colt would be?
I can't really recall. It's like there's like stages between like each fight.
Okay. So it's still like happen and then there'll be some time and something else will happen. Does that sound right? Okay. And so they had a fight maybe a month ago, like before school started. And how did that end? What made that stop?
Like it like branched out and stuff. Like it grew, and like well not like grew into that way, but like my dad was like finally just like able to calm down and stuff like that starts. And usually when he calms down, he just goes into his room, and when he comes back out, he usually apologizes.
Okay. Have there been times that Dad and Coley have ever like fought? What about, have there been times that you've seen like Dad and Mom fight?
They never get physical, they just have arguments.
Okay, but they'll argue. I understand you said that Colt was really obsessed with computers. Was that the word that you used? And I know that he can build them and that he would ask Dad for stuff, but Dad would say like, we'll have to watch money for some things. Were there things that Colt would do with his computer or on his computer that Dad was not okay with?
He usually never tells my dad anything that he does on his computer. But he does know like put like wash sheet about like his privacy and stuff.
Help me understand what that looks like.
So like he usually just uses like burner accounts and stuff, and he usually just like delete accounts after like a week or two.
Okay. And is that stuff that like Colt would talk to you about that he would do? Tell me about like some of those conversations.
Well, sometimes he like makes an account on like some Gmail or something, then like a week later he says, oh, I deleted my account, he has to add it more.
Okay. And I would say just pretend like I'm real done with this stuff, but also I'm real done with this stuff. You may have to like really walk me through some of it, okay? And so the games, I know you guys would play Minecraft. Where else, like, did he have, I know he can make servers and there's a lot of different like platforms and stuff that people would use those servers on. What were some of the platforms that Colt would use his accounts on?
He is like all over the place. Like most like the things that I see are usually just like websites like Tumblr and YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
Okay, so Tumblr, YouTube, Twitch,
And like Pinterest and stuff.
Pinterest. What would he do, like, so most people use Pinterest, like, for, like, I'm going to decorate How would you know that they were past school shooters? Okay. Can you help me understand how, so, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, okay, so please stop me if I say something wrong. So you said that those were people that he looked up to.
Yeah, like interested and stuff.
How did he become interested in them?
I think it's like something with like mental issues, because with all the moving around that we time and all the bullying and stuff, it kind of like hurt him.
Okay. Did he talk to you about that?
No, she just like talks to me about, other stuff.
Tell me what he would talk to you, when he would talk to you about the school shooters. Tell me, like, what those conversations would look like.
He would honestly just talk to me about like them, and like he would act as if I like knew who they were and stuff. I mean, he told me like who they were and stuff, so I know, but he like acts as if I'm like interested in them.
And like other people would just, like it was, did he act like it was just like common knowledge that everybody like, okay. And then was that stuff that you talked to like your dad about at all? No. I understand. Well, tell me about, I know you said you could go in Colt Gray, like even when he was feeling shut down, you could still go in there. He just might not like talk the same way and stuff. And he made the Pinterest boards about the people that he looked up to and stuff. Were there things in his room that were similar to that?
Yeah, he prints out like photos of them and like articles and stuff, and then puts it on his wall.
Okay. And I know you would go in there. Would Coley go in there sometimes?
He usually never goes up there.
Okay.
Not really interested in it.
And what about Dad?
Yeah, I goes in there, but he like doesn't want to back nine to it because he doesn't know what it is.
Okay. And so you talked to me about Pinterest. Tell me about his YouTube stuff.
He doesn't really post anything, he just watches.
Okay. Do you know what, and when you say that he would change accounts, would he change his account names on those things regularly too, or just like in Minecraft and stuff like that?
I assume like regularly.
Okay.
That stuff.
I think I know why he would change his stuff a lot, but why do you think it is? Because I don't know how to assume.
Because he like very like scared. I wouldn't say like scared, but like kind of like nervous with like police and the FBI and stuff. He's really like kind of like eerie about it.
And when you say that, help me understand what that's meant to him when he would be like eerie about it.
He would be like trying to avoid anything that is like connected to them, and he would try to like do it like try his best to hide himself.
Okay. Did he think that people from like Afghanistan were like looking for him, or he just wanted to make sure that they didn't know?
I don't really know, but I would assume that he just didn't want to know.
Okay. Do you know what some of the account names that like he would use were?
It's just usually a bunch of clusters and numbers and letters and stuff.
Okay, so nothing like any particular words or versions of
I mean,
words.
sometimes he does, but like most of the time it's just like
When he would use words, what kind of words would he use?
random words that he gets suggested.
Okay. And what kind of stuff would you watch on YouTube?
He usually watches YouTubers, but he also watches like court videos and like like footage of like other people.
And what kind of other people and court stuff?
The people who are tough.
Okay. And then tell me a little bit about Twitch.
He just watches live streams of it.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry, I'm putting questions that are kind of repetitive, but would it be like live streams of like people they look up to or different stuff?
Just different stuff.
Okay. What about, did he ever use like Discord or what would he do on Discord?
He usually just talks to me on Discord.
Okay.
But Discord's one of those things where he like changes his username and stuff like regularly.
Okay. Do you know what his most recent Discord name is that he would talk to you with? Do you have, like, could you look it up? Like, do you have a way that you could from where, like, the last time you guys talked on it?
I either think it got shut down or it's just like closed to the end.
Okay. You mentioned that he used, like, a PC. What else did he use? Like, did he have a cell phone or other devices?
Yeah, he had a cell phone, he had an Xbox, other versions, and
Okay. And he would communicate on all of those things with stuff?
he would usually just communicate on his computer and his phone.
Okay. Do you know, I mean, 'cause I know some people would use the Xbox to communicate. Did he ever do that or just use that not as much?
Yeah, because we don't communicate on it because we have different consoles.
Okay. Would he use the Xbox to talk to other people just sometimes?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are there any other platforms besides like Discord or anything else that he would use?
Not that I know.
So we talked a good bit about how he looked up to some of these people and they were inspirational and he thought that it was normal, you know, to have all of this information. Did he ever talk to other people in person besides you about those things?
You know, he just talked to me about it.
What about like online? Were there other people that were like friends with him online that he would?
I think so.
Tell me about that.
He usually does he looks at stuff about, the people on Reddit and stuff.
Okay.
And sometimes he finds people and he friends them on Discord and stuff.
And then they would talk about that same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've talked a good bit about knowing that those were some people that he looked up to. Did he ever talk to you? Well, I guess, let me back up real quick. How much do you understand about how come we're here today?
I know pretty good.
Can you help me understand what you know before we kind of talk about the other stuff?
I knew that he was the morning before it happened. I knew he was acting kind of different and weird.
So I know a lot happens, so sometimes when a lot of things happen, time feels even more tricky than normal. So today is Thursday. Yesterday was Wednesday. When you say the morning before, do you mean Wednesday morning or a different morning?
Yesterday's morning.
Okay, so yesterday's morning, he was acting different. Can you tell me, what made you feel like he was acting different?
He was acting his bus comes before mine.
Okay.
So I was up, on my console and stuff, and he was talking to me, and he said stuff about how I should make a video for you, in memory or something. He never told me about what he was remembering about, but he said you should make a video for memories and stuff.
Okay. And how come that seemed weird or different?
Because he usually never talks about that kind of stuff.
Okay. And so was there anything else that seemed different or off?
When he was walking out the door and going to the bus, his book bag was open and he had this piece of paper, this big one. He said he had a project that he had to turn in and it was wrapped in a circle.
Okay. And so tell me about what kind of book bag does he have?
He has to change for it.
Okay. And do you know what color or whatever it was?
It was black.
It was black. And so you said that the top of the gym sport was open?
Yeah, it was open.
And that there was, what was sticking out of it?
A big piece of paper, used for projects and stuff.
Okay. Do you know what color the paper was?
It was
It was white. And you tell me guys that it was in a circle?
Yeah, it was wrapped in a circle.
Okay. And was it so sometimes, when we see paper that's wrapped in a circle, it can be wrapped like this, and it's still open at the top. Was it like that, or was it closed up, or something
It was
different?
open at the top.
So, was it like this?
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything sticking out of the top?
Not that I could see.
Okay. walked out the door?
You know.
Have you heard anything from him since he walked out that door yesterday? And then I know you said that he would talk to you sometimes about stuff. And I know sometimes when we talk to people and we don't know things that may happen later. But then when we look back on stuff, we can be like, well, now I can see maybe what they were talking about or what. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now that it's today, and we know kind of everything that happened, can you look back? Are there ever times that he talked about doing what happened yesterday or wrote about yesterday or planned about yesterday that you can think back on and see now?
Like before, he just talked normally. I mean, I don't like go through like his like books or anything, so I don't know if he like planned it or just talked about it.
Okay. But there was nothing else that, like, kind of looking back now where you're like, I wonder if that's what he was talking about, or I saw something, a picture or a text or a notebook or something, and I wonder if that's what that was about. Is there anything like that?
When we would text with each other, he usually like send me like images of the people he looked up to and stuff, and like make like memes about it.
Okay. And were they memes where it was like, they shouldn't have done that, or memes where like, he thinks they should have done it, or something different?
I don't really know how to pinpoint it from everything. I mean, it's not really specific.
Okay. And I understand that you say like Dad would go in the room and Dad would see all of the same pictures that you saw, but that you don't know like if Colt and Dad like talked about those things.
So I know they did.
Okay. But is there any time that Dad has ever been worried about Colt's behaviors or about him liking those people?
He doesn't know who the people were until the police officer told him.
Okay.
Because like my brother, he wouldn't have really like talked about that stuff around him.
Were there ever times that like Colt was around guns or was not allowed to be around guns or something like that?
He was allowed to be around guns because my dad and him, they usually went to like the shooting range or something.
Okay.
But like recently, my dad's been trying to like get like a gun safe in the house.
Okay, so is there a gun safe in the house? No. When was the last, like how often was shooting something that Dad and Colt like to do together?
Well, like it was like an annual thing. It wasn't like every weekend or anything. It was like kind of like every now and then.
Okay, but was that like, like sometimes with our parents, like we have certain things that are like our thing, you know what I mean? Like this is,
kind of like their thing, something like that.
that was their thing they like to do together. And when they would go shoot, like, I heard you say the range, like where would they go shoot at?
I don't really know the location, but I'm sure my dad does.
Okay. Did you ever go when they would do that?
I went once.
You went once. And then they went more than, like they went sometimes that you didn't go, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know when the last time they went was?
It definitely wasn't this month or in August or anything.
Okay. So it was, I don't want you to guess, so if you don't know, it's okay to say I don't know. But to your knowledge, did they go like during the summer then, some?
Yeah, I think so. And like, if it were like during like the school month or something, they would just go on the weekend.
Okay. Okay. What kind of guns did Colt like and your dad like to shoot together?
I don't really know like the specific names of the guns.
That's okay.
I know they're like big.
Like they're the long guns or like the handguns?
So long.
Okay. And did Colt like have guns that like, so sometimes, and like I said, you said he's 14, so it's not like he's a little kid, you know. Would he be allowed to keep guns in his room and stuff like that?
Yeah, he usually keeps them in his closet or like cleaned up in the corner.
Okay. And that was okay with that. Like Dad knew that he had them there, and that was okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was there ever a time that Dad was like, "No, Colt, you can't have the guns"?
gets like mad and stuff, he never usually like grabs the guns or anything.
Okay.
Like he always like keeps them like up, like even if he's like really mad and wants to start a fight.
Okay. And has there ever been a time that Dad, like, would have conversations with, like, you or Coley about Colt?
Like privately, like down with me.
Okay, tell me about some of those conversations.
We like talked about how we were concerned with his like behavior and stuff.
Okay. When was the last time that you and Dad had, like, a private conversation about being worried about him?
Like probably like before or
Okay. And where were you at when you had that conversation?
we usually just go home somewhere, like either in my room or outside.
Okay. And help me understand what you guys talked about the last time before this happened.
We talked about how he has probably anger issues and how we were gonna help him get a therapist or counseling.
Did anybody ever get him a therapist or counseling?
They were close, but they were like kind of funny.
Okay. You told me about how Colt would be like, sometimes would fight with Dad. Did Colt ever, like fight with you or Coley? No. Were there ever times where like he would be rougher with you guys better than like you wish he would have been?
Yeah, like sometimes, well, he's not really rough with my little brother, he's just like touching him and stuff.
Okay.
But with me, when he gets like mad and stuff, I usually just lock my door.
Okay.
And he usually just like bangs on me and stuff.
Okay. And so sometimes like people are talking about like it started off okay, but then like it got taken too far.
Yeah.
Were there times where like that would happen with how he would treat you?
Well, like the main, when it like gets too far, it usually ends with like him breaking something or like putting a hole in like my door or something.
Okay. How many times do you think he's put a hole in, like, I heard you say the door, have you ever put a hole in a wall?
Yeah.
How many times do you think he's put holes in something when he's really upset?
We always put like one hole in the wall, I think, and he put like 3 in my door.
And were those all 3 happened at one time or different times?
Different times.
How come he would, so it seems like you said that you would lock the door, and then all 3 times were those times he was trying to get into your room that he put the holes in it? What would he be so upset about?
Like sometimes we just have like petty arguments about like games and stuff, and it just like gets bigger than it should be.
Right.
And then like, well, that's basically it. But like sometimes we have like actual arguments about stuff, and it escalates too.
Okay. Was there ever a time that like he was like putting a hole in the door or whatever that you were afraid, that it made you feel uncomfortable or afraid? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I usually just like when he's like banging on the door or something, I'm just like climbing on the edge or something. And I usually just put my earbuds in so I can tune it out.
Okay. And then has there ever been a time that you shut and locked the door that he was able to get in?
Not that I know of. I mean, he tries to pick the lock with like a little knife that he has.
Okay. Has there ever been a time, because I know we talked about, I know he has the guns, the guns that he's allowed to have those. Did anyone know he had like the knife?
Yeah. Everyone usually knows he has a pocket knife.
Okay. And we talked about like him and Dad would get into a fight, and sometimes he would try to get in fights with you. Did he ever try to fight Mom?
Usually when stuff like that happens, it's usually like both of them like instigating.
Okay. And you said that, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Dad has talked to you about being like nervous or whatever it was, and that maybe he needed a counselor.
Yeah.
How many times do you think you guys had conversations where Dad said that he was either worried about Colt or that he, like, let me ask that in 2 parts. How many times do you think you and Dad talked about being nervous did Dad talk about that Colt needed a counselor?
At first, like when they first started like arguments like that, he didn't really talk about it, but then he like started talking about it.
And I know okay, I don't want to assume. You said the last time you and Dad talked about him being worried was right before this happened. Did I get that right? What had happened then that made you guys talk about it?
It wasn't like the day like right before it. It was like a couple like weeks back.
Okay. Was there something that happened that made you and Dad talk about it?
It was just like a word argument.
Okay. Who had the word argument?
My dad and my husband.
And has Dad talked about like trying to get a counselor for him one time or more than one time?
More
More
than
than one time. I know you said that Colt used to go to the school you're at now. When he was going to that school, did Dad ever talk about him needing a counselor?
No, because I like came up to live with him like the day after he like left the school.
Okay.
But like when he's at school, he's usually just like quiet.
Okay. Was there anything else when you and Dad talked that Dad talked about that he thought like maybe getting a counselor would help or things like that? Were there other like kind of steps or ideas that Dad had that might be able to help Colt?
He definitely wanted to try to get him on some medication to kind of relax and stuff like that.
Okay. Was he able to get a doctor appointment for him? How many times did Dad talk about the medication? One time or more than one time?
More than one time.
Okay. When Colt would talk to you about looking up to the people that he looked up to, was there ever a time where like you or anyone else would tell him like not to look up to them or something like that?
I tried to be like discreet about it and like saying like, oh hey, those are kind of bad people. I wouldn't really like invest in that kind of stuff. But I usually like try to like keep my distance because I don't want to like anger anybody.
And then how would you respond if you would try to say those things?
He would just laugh it off or like just ignore it.
Did Dad ever tell him like not to do those things?
He never did.
And then, can you help me understand like what yesterday was like for you up until like today? Because I imagine that there's been a lot of talks and a lot of stuff like that. Can you kind of help me understand what's been talked about and like kind of what all you've been a part of?
My dad, when he like talking about it, he said that he was shocked, and like kind of like angered that he did this. But honestly, in like my perspective, I kind of saw it coming.
Okay. Help me understand the things that you saw that made you say like I could have seen it coming.
When he left, it on the bus, the open book bag, like the weird attitude he was acting like, and like when he went to get on the bus and like left the house, I went into his room and I like didn't see his clothes anymore.
Okay. Did Dad see him take his book bag and stuff to school?
No, he leaves before though.
Okay. And so, are there things like, in hindsight, right, like when we look back, are there ways that you think like Dad or any of the teachers or anybody could have also seen this coming?
I felt like not that immediately, but like I felt the school could have noticed something about, something like this happening.
Okay. What kinds of things do you think they could have done?
Like, I was surprised when like he was able to get on the bus because I would have thought that like the bus driver would have like seen, his cousin there because his book bag was open.
What about Dad? What do you think Dad could have seen?
He is kind of like oblivious to every like all the, idolizing people and like thinking about this kind of stuff, but they never talked about it.
Jenni, I'm gonna ask you a nothing that happened yesterday is something that you did, okay? And so I want you to know that. But did you know that that was a gun in his book bag when he left yesterday?
I felt like it was here, but I didn't see it.
And how did he get that? Was that a gun that, like, how did he get the gun that he had yesterday?
My dad bought it for him.
Okay. When did Dad buy that gun for him?
I don't know.
Has it been since you've lived there that Dad, was it like a gift for him?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and has it been since you've lived there that Dad gave it to him as a gift?
Mm-hmm.
How has Dad and Lee been since this all happened?
He's still kind of confused about what's all happening.
Okay.
My dad, he's been kind of struggling and he's been really strong though about it, but he said that he couldn't believe he did this kind of thing.
Okay.
And that he didn't see it ever happen.
Okay. And what about, have you talked to Mom any since all this happened?
Yeah, my grandma too.
Okay. Tell me about what are they saying, or how are they feeling?
They didn't really talk to me about it because they were feeling all over the place and stuff.
Okay.
But I could tell that they were sad.
Okay. And so a lot of times when I talk to people about stuff that happens in their house, we talk about fights, like you and I have talked about. But then we also, and you mentioned that Dad had talked about getting some medication for cold. So one of the other things that I talk to people about is drugs, alcohol, and medication stuff. Do you know when I say those things, what those things mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone in your house ever drink alcohol?
My mom.
Mom would. And what kind of alcohol stuff does Mom drink?
My dad usually doesn't like alcohol in the house, but she would usually drink whiskey or beers and stuff.
Okay. And then when I say drugs, what do drugs mean to you?
Illegal substances.
Okay. And so did anyone in your house ever use drugs or take drugs?
My mom did.
Your mom did? Okay. What would Mom do?
She usually, as far as I know about it, she would usually just be on meth.
Okay. And is that a thing that you ever saw Mom do, or you just knew that that was the thing that was happening?
I knew what was happening, and I knew 100%, but I didn't see her ever actually doing it.
And what would be the things that would make you know 100%?
She would have small scabs on her arms and legs and face and stuff.
Okay. And so you told me the drugs are illegal substances, but sometimes people take medicine too, from a doctor. But it can also, sometimes people take just what they're supposed to take, and other times people can take too much. Does that make sense? Is there anyone in your house that ever takes medicine?
Yeah, my mom does.
Mom does? What kind of medicine does Mom take? Do you know?
Lately she's been using sleep medicine.
Okay.
But she was taking too much of it. She was actually drowsy and stuff.
Okay, so it would change how Mom acted. Did Dad ever take anything that would change how he acted?
Not recently.
Tell me about the time before.
When I was still a kid, back in the early days, she would usually just drink.
Okay. When's the last time that you've seen Dad drink?
Ever since I was
When you were younger. And then did Dad ever take any medicine or anything that would make him act different?
No, the medicine that he would take was usually just prescribed painkillers like that.
Okay. Did something happen to Dad's back?
Yeah, he broke it.
Okay. Do you know, again, I don't expect you to know exactly when, did you know about when, or how old you were when Dad broke his back?
I was 4 or 5.
So you were young. Does Dad still take the medicine for his back? Jenni, I've asked a lot of questions. Is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you think I need to know about, to help understand what happened and to understand your family and things like that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step out of the room and kind of give you a minute to see if there's anything that you do want to ask me, or if there's any other questions or things that you think I should know. And I'm going to take a minute because we talked about a lot of stuff, and I'm going to see if I have any other questions for you. And so I'm just going to step out for just a couple minutes, okay? While I'm gone, could you draw, and I'm not an artist, so I don't expect, you could be a beautiful artist though, but could you draw for me, like yesterday, the stuff that Colt left with? Like I know you described for me his book bag and the paper. Did he have anything else with him when he left?
I don't think so.
Okay. Can you draw for me the book bag and what all of that looked like when he left the house yesterday?
Is everyone okay about that for you?
Yes, please.
Tell me what you're drawing. Okay. Okay. And so, sorry, is it okay if I'm, what is this part? The J for the transport. And did I get this right? You said that the front pocket part, the big one, so the big part was open, and this was it flapped forward. And then what's this? The rolled up paper. And then what is this? Okay, so like the little loop part that's on it. Thank you so much. Is this on the back? Oh, that's it. Were you started? Did you think of any other questions for me?
Well, when it first started, I was in gym.
Okay.
And I was walking up and I got a text from my mom.
Okay.
And she was saying how she was concerned about Colt.
Okay. And so you and Colt don't go to the same school anymore, is that correct?
We are supposed to go beside each other.
Okay. And so you got a text from mom when you were in gym. Do you remember what the text said?
It said how she was concerned that he was going to do something bad.
Okay.
I still have it.
Okay. I don't need to see that, but maybe some other people might, okay? And so, did it say something bad, or did it say what the bad thing was?
Just
Okay. Did you text her back, or?
I told her, and I asked her if she had told my dad this, and I didn't get a text back.
Okay. Did you ever find out if she did tell Dad about it?
During the lockdown thing, we were looking on our phones, and she said that she did.
That you did tell Dad? Okay. And so, Mom wasn't here, or was
She
she?
was down in the show.
She was in Fitzgerald, because she's stayed here for a few weeks, but it's been a little bit now since that happened, is that right? Okay. And so, is there any other, thank you for sharing that with me. Is there anything else that you've thought of that you think I should know about? Are there any questions that you have so far? I have a couple more questions, but I want to make sure I got a few things right, okay? You told me that you and Colt would talk on Discord. You guys would chat there, but that he changed his username a good amount, and you might be able to see what his last one is, but also you might have like shut it down. What was your username on Discord?
It was something random, but it's still on my phone, I can do.
Can you just write it down for me? So that's your username, even if it's not spelled exactly the same or whatever. Can you just write that down for me? Thank you. I want to make sure I got it right. Is it Micah_Belly?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I know you said you and Dad had talked about Colt maybe eating some medicine and stuff to help him. Did Colt ever talk about, or did you ever see Colt have, like besides being angry, was there any other stuff, like was he ever diagnosed with anything, or was there ever like stuff that he thought was wrong with him, or something like that?
I don't think he was diagnosed with anything.
Okay. Did he ever talk to you about like feeling like something was wrong with him or anything like that? No? Okay. And then I understand that last night that there were some cops at your house, is that right? And that while they were there, that you and Dad and Coley stayed in the truck together, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what you guys talked about while you were in the truck?
He was just explaining to me about, the situation and stuff, and how long it would take and stuff.
Okay. And when you say how long it would take?
For the cops to searching around.
Okay. And I know that you said he was explaining it to you, but was Coley also there when that was happening?
He wasn't in the truck when we were talking about it. He was sitting on the tailgate.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for helping me. So I imagine there was a lot going on, just like a lot of feelings, a lot of, trying to understand, a lot of explaining. Can you kind of walk me through, what was the first thing Dad told you? And then kind of walk me through, the process of the stuff that we talked about?
When I got home, he basically told me how we couldn't go to the house. And he was, talking about how, what Cole did and stuff. And how long it was going to take. And he also had to, talk to some other people.
Who did you have to talk to?
Like
Dad had to talk to other people? Okay. What words did Dad use to explain to you what Cole did yesterday? And again, I know Jenni, I know this is hard, okay? I'm so sorry to have to ask hard questions, okay? How did he describe what happened yesterday? I know you would have used kind of normal day-to-day words, but can you help me understand how he described what happened?
he didn't really talk about the shooting at the school, but he talked about how Cole was in a great fight with him, and how he was how he didn't know where he was at the moment.
Okay. And I understand, how did you first find out about the actual shooting?
When we went into lockdown.
Okay. And what did you find out? Because what school are you at now?
He was in
And so that's right there. Is that right behind?
It's on a hill, and the high school is near the bottom.
Right. And so when the school went on lockdown, what did the school say?
It just said what they usually do. They didn't really say anything specific, and how it was a Holocaust.
Okay. And then how did you know it was a shooting?
Because I just had that feeling, and I texted my mom and my dad and stuff, and I heard the other students around me talking about it.
Okay. How did other students know?
I think they went on the news.
Okay. Did you go on the news too?
I trying, but like my cellular data wasn't that strong.
Okay. And so what did mom and dad tell you when you were texting during lockdown?
I was explaining to them basically what was happening, and my dad said he was like coming like to the school, because he works at the school.
Where did that work at?
Don't know.
You told me that Dad got, or that Colt got that gun as a gift, right? When he got it as a gift, did he get any other parts with it?
I think he got like the gun itself as a gift, and like over time he like bought, parts for it.
What, and again, like, I know you said, like, you don't know all the names and kinds of stuff, and that's okay. But when we talk about, like, that he got other parts for it, do you know what he got for it?
Like there were like grips and like lasers and stuff.
Okay. And was that a thing that, like, that he would buy for himself, or Dad would buy, or Mom would buy, or?
He would usually just ask either my mom or my dad or my grandma.
Okay. And so, like, when he would ask Grandma, would he ask her for money to get those things, or would he ask her to, like, buy this specific thing?
I think he like asked her like order.
Okay. What kind of stuff did Grandma order for him?
She mostly ordered electronic stuff for him, but she did buy some gun parts or something.
Okay. And when you say Grandma, what is Grandma's name? Is it Mom? Debbie, is that Mom's mom or Dad's mom? Okay. And then what kind of stuff did Dad buy? Like, would he give him money, or would Dad buy the parts stuff?
He would buy the parts.
Do you know what kind of parts stuff Dad bought?
Like things that you can like clip onto the gun.
Okay.
And like upgrade it and stuff.
Okay. You talked about lasers, did I get that right? Who bought the lasers?
I think my dad did.
Okay. And you talked about stuff that clips on the side. What would that be for?
I don't really know, I'm not a gun expert, but I would think for like better like grip and like aiming.
Okay. If I talked about like a magazine, do you know what that is for a gun? Do you know where Cole got the magazines for his gun?
His my dad.
Your dad got some. Do you know how many he had?
No, he usually, if he ever showed me one, he would just have one.
One, okay. And what about, and again, you don't know your kids, but like bullets and stuff for it, do you know where he would get those?
I think he would like get it from like a sports place or like Amazon.
But, normally adults have to buy those, so would that be Dad would buy the bullets, Grandma, or someone else?
My grandma, like the only thing that she ever like really gets for his gun is ammunition.
Okay.
But my dad also likes ammunition.
Okay. And again, there's a lot that has happened in the last few days, I understand that. You told me about that morning that Colt acted different. What about like the night before? Had anything happened like the day before or the night before that seemed different or off or bad or anything?
No, not really.
Okay. Has there, I know you talked about like bullying and that was the thing that, Colt has struggled with. Has anything like that happened recently, like at his new school?
Not that he's told me. I asked him about it, but like from like past school with that or like recently asked him about it.
Okay.
I asked him if he made any friends and stuff, but he usually just says no, and the lunch he does was at the library.
Okay. And you said that he rides the bus to school. Which bus did he ride?
I don't know.
And then, did he like talk to anybody on the bus or anything like that that you know? And so the bus picks you guys up like near your house,
Yeah, for sure.
and he leaves how, like, what order does everybody leave your house?
My little brother leaves first, and my dad goes to work after he drops him off. Then, Colt leaves.
Okay, so your little brother doesn't write a bus, he writes a dad, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so was Colt like awake and getting ready and stuff when they left, or they left before he ever woke up?
I think he was awake when they left.
Okay. And then like on a normal morning, does dad like come and check on everybody, make sure everybody's up and moving and all that stuff before he leaves, or is that like y'all's job to no matter what, get yourself up, get ready and all that?
Usually, if I'm still asleep, he usually wakes me up and he like checks on everyone.
Okay. And so did you see dad check on, like did dad come check on you before you left or before he left yesterday?
Yeah, he woke me up the night before, but he left. I just said like everything.
Okay. And then did he talk to Colt before he left yesterday?
I think he just woke him up.
That's okay. And then when you first got up, like got out of bed yesterday, where was Colt at?
He was so
So asleep, he just wasn't getting up? Okay, so you had got up and started getting ready before he did, but he leaves before you did, is that right?
I woke up early.
Okay. And when he talked to you about making the memory video, where were you at when you guys saw that?
I was in my room.
Okay, so he had come in your room,
Mm-hmm.
is that right? And was he already like dressed and ready to go, or not yet?
Yeah, I think he was ready to dress.
Okay. And was that like right before he left to go get on the bus, or that was like he still did some other stuff before he left?
It was right before he got on the bus.
Did he already have like his book bag and everything when he came in and told you about the video?
No, I think it was in his room.
Okay. Is there anything else from yesterday morning that seemed different or whatever that we haven't talked about?
Mm-hmm.
And then the one last thing I want to ask you about is a lot of times when big things happen with people's families, sometimes there's rules about things that they want to like stay in the family and things that like we just talk about in the family. And then there's stuff that we can like talk about to anybody. With your family, are there any rules about what you can only talk about with the family?
We just try our best, like, express our true feelings to each other, and we like support each other with things and stuff. And we try to like keep our private information with us and not express it around.
Okay. And when it comes to the stuff with Colt, like the worries about Colt, and then what happened yesterday, is there anything that you guys are not supposed to talk about, like to other people?
Like, just like a normal, like, person or like a police?
Either one.
If like just a random person, we probably wouldn't talk about.
Okay. And are there any things that are like private that you're not supposed to talk to like police or anything about when it comes to this stuff? Okay. When you guys talked yesterday, like in the truck, were there any rules about like what you can talk about and can't talk about?
No, he was just explaining to me and like briefly to my little brother about what was happening and how long it was going to take and stuff.
Okay. And then a lot of times when things happen, people can be worried about other people being in trouble. Are you worried about anyone being in trouble?
I'm kind of worried about like my family like being in trouble somehow.
Okay, help me understand that.
Like people thinking we're like bad people.
Okay. Do you think people think you're a bad person?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Like with like it being everywhere on like the internet and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised.
Has anybody like said anything to you personally, like a text message or like online or anything like that?
You know, but they like texted my mom right now.
How do you know about that?
Because my mom told me.
What did mom say people had texted?
Yeah, but she was just saying like how they were texting really mean things like everything.
Who was sending those things to her?
Just random people on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Okay. Are you worried about true.